In today's video, I'm going to talk about what a futurist is and why you should learn how to think like one. A couple years ago, I actually went back to school to get my professional certification in foresight from the University of Houston. Now, a lot of people think that what a futurist does is predict the future, but of course, as we all know, nobody can predict the future. But what futurists do is they help make sure that you're not surprised by what the future might bring. This is an important skill to have because things are changing so quickly. Things have always been changing quickly, but now it seems like the pace of change has increased. There are a lot of variables that are out there, and it's just becoming more and more chaos. So being able to think like a futurist is really going to come in handy, especially if you're considering to be a leader now and in the future. Thinking like a futurist is, to me at least, analogous to thinking like a chess player. Now, I play a lot of chess. Those of you who watch this channel know that I talk about chess all the time. I play chess professionally. If I'm sitting at a chessboard and sitting across from my opponent and I move my pawn, I'm already thinking, how might my opponent respond? Maybe they'll move their knight, maybe they'll move their rook, maybe they'll attack one of my pieces, maybe they'll castle. And I'm constantly having to think about, well, if they do one of those things, how might I be able to respond? In other words, I'm not predicting the move that my opponent is going to make, but I'm thinking in terms of scenarios, what my opponent might do. And if they do that, how might I respond? So I want to give you 4 questions that you can start using on a regular basis when you have to make a decision, when you're thinking about making an investment in something. 4 questions that are going to help you think like a futurist. Question number 1 is, why might something happen? So think about any scenario, any possibility that might arise. If you had to make that become a reality, what are some of the factors that would make that true? Why might something actually happen? Question number 2, what else might happen? So let's say you're thinking about that one scenario, that one possibility. Well, what are some other possibilities, some other scenarios that might happen if that one doesn't actually come to fruition? Question number 3, what are some of the factors that are going to influence or impact why something will or will not happen? This could be government regulation, this could be a decision that somebody else on your team makes, this could be funding. What are the different factors or variables that are going to impact why one of these scenarios will or will not happen? And the 4th and final question is the one that I consider to be the most important one, and this is, what do you want to actually happen? This is a question we oftentimes forget to ask because we assume that the future is something that happens to us, but the reality is that the future is something that you help create and shape and define and build. So what is it that you actually want to happen? And I always encourage people to take it one step further and say, well, what is it that you want to happen and how are you actually going to make that future a reality? Thinking like a futurist is going to be a tremendous asset during your leadership career and your leadership journey. And it's going to serve you well, especially as you're trying to make decisions and think about investments to make and how to set priorities in this rapidly changing, chaotic world that we are all a part of. So start asking yourself these 4 questions on a regular basis, and you're going to find that you too are going to start to think like a futurist. Hey, it's just a quick reminder to check out my brand new PDF, thefutureemployee.com, which looks at how employees are evolving and changing and what you as an organization need to do to evolve and adapt. You'll get a complete breakdown of what that evolution looks like, as well as action items that you should be taking. It's an invaluable resource, and you can grab it at thefutureemployee.com. Again, that's thefutureemployee.com.